A little bit more offense today, but just not quite enough.
Well, it was better. It was certainly better. We took advantage of a few opportunities when we scored some balls up, but to be able to push 3 across after where we've been, I thought was a really positive day for our kids.
Talk about the job Billings he did for you there.
Well, I thought Jacob did a nice job. Not super sharp, but I thought competitive. And when the game demanded that he make a couple of pitches early on, he did to get out of some jams. He had 44 pitches after 2 innings, and when you have that many, unless you start getting some single-digit innings, it's going to cut into how long the outing is, and that's what happened there. And I think he probably could have got through the 5th, but he had enough pitches at that time. I think we got up to 92, and you know, from that spot, I thought it was just a good move to bring JP in.
What's kind of your message to the team after a weekend like this?
Well, we certainly made some progress today, and so that was good, and it felt better in here. We loosened up a little bit, and we took advantage of some guys on base and drove them in, so that was good. We just talked about the ability to slow the game down, and I used a couple of examples of Jacob when the game was really hollering at you, man, we got to make a pitch, you know, right now to get out of a jam, and then Jacob did that in 2 occasions, I felt, and then certainly there in the 9th inning, Blake Smith did that, falling behind there and then coming back and getting a punch out when it really mattered in terms of giving us an opportunity to chase 1 instead of 2 or more, you know, in the 9th inning. And those are 2 really good examples of what older guys can do, the ability in the moment to slow the game down. And obviously there's some areas there that the game went pretty fast for us today. You know, certainly in the box late in the game, it felt like it sped up on us a little bit, and we've got to get to a spot where we can slow the game down when it needs to be. You want to be there the whole time, but, you know, the reality of it is that sometimes the other team gets a hit, and sometimes you strike out, and, you know, sometimes you make an error, but at the appropriate time, man, you got to be able to slow down so you can execute a pitch or an at bat, you know, and so that's one specific way that we can address getting better, and we can get better quickly if we're honest with ourselves and, you know, deal with the reality of those are the things that we can do to get better.
That ability to slow things down in those situations, is that something that comes with experience or with an approach change?
Well, for most guys, it's a learned response. You know, I've had a few over the years that brought them with them, you know, based genetics or parents or high school or whatever it is, but most of that stuff is what you learn. You know, because for most of our guys, not all, but most of our guys, this is the first place where they're really in the middle of a game that gets speeding up on them. You know, they're talented kids, they play in good programs, and there's not a lot of times where the game gets going real fast, but clearly we've got some of that going, and that's all through the league. You saw the scores last night. You know, the game gets going, you know. I tell the kids all the time, the game gets better in week 2 of league and week 7, and I told them today, you know, before the game, man, I made a mistake, man. The game got better week 1 this year, and all you had to do is look at the scores over the first 2 days. I don't have any idea what the scores are today, but when you take a look at the scores and you see how many runs are given up and then the amount of zeros, both, you're seeing multiple. Okay, zeros and ones, and then double digits. You know, that's reflective of really good teams that are having a hard time in the short term because the game is so much better. Somebody's getting better on the other side, and you haven't quite caught up yet. So, and it's the same way every year.
Got your last midweek with 2 games crammed in there. How do you plan to approach it? It didn't look like you have to use a lot of arms this weekend.
No, we didn't. In terms of how we'll approach it pitching-wise,
yes.
Don't know. It'll be the same guys that you keep seeing, you know, so there won't be anybody really new, although you're very likely going to see Tristan Barlow. He's back and feels good and has now for about a week, so you'll see him. But I'll take a look at it. Have not looked at either team. Don't know what their wins and losses are, team batting averages, right or left, none of it, but I'll know quick enough. I'll know soon enough, and we'll make good decisions, best decisions that we can make, you know, to also not only pitch well in those games, but have those guys back for the weekend. You know, you don't want to burn those guys on Wednesday, and, you know, they're not available till Sunday, so we'll do the best job we can in that regard also.
How good was it to see Westberg step in there to clutch situation, get his first career hit?
I think anytime you see a young guy have success, whether it's on the mound or turn a double play, get a hit, you know, those are big moments. You know, you're talking about people that have worked for a long time to get the opportunity to play college baseball, and, you know, he finally got up there, and I could be wrong, but I think that's his first hit, you know, and I'm proud of him. He's a really hard worker, and he's another one of those freshmen. He'll end up being a very, very good player here. So he's also learned to slow the game down and play with a little bit less tension in his body. So it was nice for him.
You got a lot of young players on this team, but you also have some veterans also.
Yeah.
So, like, what's like your level of confidence in their ability to kind of move on from the first week of the season? And I know it's only the first series.
Well, I think that relates directly to the guys that are in the lineup. You know, so you start talking about the returning guys, the guys that have experience. I heard Jake Mangum say that, you know, unfortunately we're right where we were last year after 3 league games. You know, we went to Arkansas last year and ended up 0-3, and we're in the same spot, and it's certainly nothing that you're hoping for, but that's the reality of it, and you have to deal well with it. And I think as long as the kids can deal in the reality of it, you know, there are things that you can do, specific things, and you can do them almost, I don't want to say immediately, but you can do them in the near future to improve your game. And if they do that, then we'll get better, and we will get better.